Norway is building a road that floats underwater, not resting on the seafloor, not bored through rock, suspended beneath the surface by nothing but buoyancy and steel tethers. 1,100 kilometers of coastal highway, crossing fjords deeper than any tunnel can reach. No one has ever built a submerged floating tunnel at full scale, and the part that should worry you is what happens when a storm rolls in. The internet calls this a 1,100-mile floating tunnel, but if you look at the official maps from Norway's public roads agency, Statens Vegvesen, the real story is different. The entire project is called the E39 Coastal Corridor, running from Kristiansand in the south to Trondheim in the north. The total distance of this highway is about 1,100 kilometers. That is around 684 miles, not 1,100 miles, and it is not one continuous underwater tube. Instead, it is a massive network of normal roads, bridges, and traditional tunnels, with only a few floating sections planned where the seafloor plunges too far down. In 2014, project director Olav Ellefset presented the first major feasibility work to make this route entirely ferry-free. By 2017, the Norwegian parliament gave it full political backing. The goal is to replace 7 different ferry crossings along the coast. So, while the 1,100-mile floating tunnel is a myth born from a mix-up between kilometers and miles, the real engineering project is still one of the most ambitious road trips ever planned. The real obstacle is the water itself. Norwegian fjords are not normal coastal inlets. They are massive, deep-carved chasms in the earth. Take the Fjord. At its mouth, the water plunges down to 1,300 meters deep. That is over 4,000 feet, far deeper than the height of the world's tallest skyscrapers. Further along the E39 route, the Fjord drops to 550 meters, and the Fjord sits in the 500 to 600 meter range. These are not narrow gaps either. Most of these proposed crossings stretch between 2 and 5 kilometers wide. On a typical highway, engineers would just build a suspension bridge or drill a traditional tunnel through the bedrock. But here, the severe geography defeats both. Standard bored tunnels lose their appeal once you push past 300 meters deep. The massive overburden rock pressure is immense, and designing a road that safely descends that far down and climbs back up requires miles of spiraling approach ramps, driving up costs and construction times. High-clearance bridges face the same barrier. You cannot easily drop concrete support towers onto a seabed 1,000 meters down. The unique terrain forces engineers into a corner. To connect these coastal communities, they cannot go over the water, and they cannot go under the rock. The only viable path left is to make the highway float. To make a tunnel float, you can't just drop a metal pipe into the sea. You need a massive circular tube made of a concrete steel composite. Ariana Minaretti, a senior structural engineer at Statens Vegvesen, led the complex math to make this structure work. The design calls for an internal diameter of 10 to 12 meters, leaving plenty of space for a 2-lane highway. Protecting those lanes are outer walls of reinforced concrete up to nearly a meter thick. But the real secret to the design is buoyancy. Minaretti's calculations target a reserve buoyancy of 15 to 20%. This means the tunnel is light enough that it naturally wants to float upward, creating a massive, constant upward lift. To hold it in place, engineers will strap it down using heavy-duty tethers. These tethers are thick cables, about half a meter in diameter, made of high-strength steel or ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Each tunnel segment relies on 6 to 12 of these tethers, which run straight down to anchors secured in the seabed. These anchor points are spaced anywhere from 500 meters to a full kilometer apart. This continuous pull keeps the entire structure stable and suspended in the water column without touching the fjord floor. Because repairing a submerged highway is incredibly difficult, every single cable and concrete joint is engineered to survive this brutal underwater environment for a design life of 100 years. To prove this concept works, engineers can't just rely on math. They have to put it up against the absolute worst the ocean can throw at it. At the Sintef Ocean Basin Laboratory, researchers Maxime Thais and Jose Rodriguez built a massive physical model of the structure to see if it would survive a catastrophic, once-in-a-century storm. They programmed the test basin to mimic a brutal 100-year sea state. This meant hammering the model with waves 12 meters high, lasting 12 to 14 seconds, while simulating currents ripping past at 2.5 meters per second. Rodriguez recalled that running this simulation was nerve-wracking, watching the scale model sway under the raw power of the water. But the results gave the team their first real breakthrough. Under these massive storm forces, the tunnel's center line shifted only about 1.2 meters. The steel tethers holding it down peaked at 8,000 kilonewtons of tension. That is a massive load, but still safely below their 10,000 kilonewton limit. Even when wave current interactions increased the peak bending moments by 15%, the maximum stress on the structure reached only 140 megapascals. That is well within the safe limit of 250 megapascals. But a single storm isn't the only threat. The real killer is fatigue. The sea never stops moving, meaning this concrete tube has to endure roughly 200 million tiny load cycles every single year for an entire century. Even if the math works, engineers still have to face real-world chaos. What happens if a 30,000-ton container ship slams into the tunnel at 5 knots? Or a 15,000-ton ferry side swipes it at 7 knots? To survive these collisions, the design relies on brute strength and smart escape systems. If a crash or fire happens, drivers can flee through emergency shafts spaced every 500 meters, leading straight to the surface. Meanwhile, massive fans blast 3,000 cubic meters of fresh air per second through the tube, powered by dual redundant 13.8 kilovolt lines to prevent blackouts. Building this is another beast. Workers must cast massive 200-meter concrete segments weighing 1,500 tons each. The plan is to float them out, tow them to the site, and use heavy lift vessels for placement, aiming for 3 segments a week. It sounds highly organized, but there is a major catch. No one, anywhere on Earth, has ever built a full-scale submerged floating tunnel. Building such an unproven concept is a massive financial gamble. Statens Vegveson originally estimated the entire E39 upgrade would cost around 150 billion kroner. Today, that price tag has ballooned to 340 billion kroner. Individual pieces carry heavy costs of their own. A single bridge at Fjord is estimated at 13 billion kroner. The Fjord tunnel study sits at 25 billion kroner, and the massive Rogfast subsea tunnel has climbed to 53.7 billion kroner. But Norway is willing to pay because the payoff is time. The project cuts a brutal 21-hour coastal drive down to just 10 hours. Removing those diesel ferries also saves about 1,500 tons of carbon dioxide every single year. Still, the environmental balance sheet is not entirely green. Construction will permanently disturb 12 hectares of seabed and alter 30 hectares of sensitive fjord habitats. With the detailed design phase scheduled for 2025 and 2026 and full completion pushed out to 2050, Norway is placing a massive policy bet on a future that is still decades away. Norway's gamble could rewrite how we conquer geography forever. But would you actually trust your life to a concrete tube suspended in the deep ocean? Tell us in the comments below. Subscribe for more incredible engineering stories.